I'm in high school. I had a couple of people crush on me within my lifetime, but never caught on to the signs. I'm pretty clueless since I'm insecure and dumbfounded by the idea that people can crush on me. An important detail from my mindset in the story. I'm typically described as shy, short, and nerdy because basically that's exactly what baits these types of guys. It all starts in my PE class. The warm-up lines are separated by alphabetical order. I'll call this guy M for the sake of privacy. Our last names start with the same letter, so he was right in front of me. I remember thinking that he was really weird. He wore a trench coat, gloves, bow ties, full purple outfits, even socks and shoes, and other weird fashion styles, while the rest of us wore our designated PE clothes. His yearbook photo even had a cringe-worthy smirk. I never really paid much attention to him despite how weird he was. He was that overachiever and always did weird things to attempt to impress people. None worked. I had PE last period, so my friends and I would wait outside in the same spot after we changed for the bell to ring so we could walk home. In November, M noticed this and decided it would be a good idea to approach me after class and say, "Hey, blank, the teacher asked me to give this to you." My friends noticed that he was nervous and made the joke that it's a love letter. I opened it out of confusion to read the following, spelling and grammar mistakes included. Dear blank, even though I only know you by looks, I always wanted to say that you look so pretty in every way. You look so smart as if you only read books. You look so kind, I fear I'm running out of rhymes. Even though the sky is gray and the world seems sad, just a glimpse of you and my day feels great and I feel glad. But it isn't until I see you smile that makes me happy, that makes me everything dutiful and vile go away for a while. Probably curious to who I am? I am sad to say I will not tell. I'm a bit shy. It kills me. It makes me yell. This is the first, might not be the last letter I write to you and secretly pass. From your secret admirer. P.S. I mean every word, I truly do. I don't mean in any way to be creepy to you. I read this out loud to my friends on the walk home. Their reaction were as follows. Oh my god, you have a secret admirer! I ship it! Wow, that never happened to me. The hype they gave me linked with my anxiety, leading it to be all talked about until I got the next letter in December, which read as followed. Dear blank, a new letter is what I have written, and it's a new letter I have given for you. I hope my letter has made you happy. I try not to make them sappy. You're sad, and I'm sure you're caring. For every time I glare at you, my heart is flaring. Your voice is soft. Your backpack is bearing. Every word I write to you makes me feel that I'm tearing up myself. I like you a lot. I'm sorry this is true. I cannot stop writing these words to you. Sincerely, your secret admirer. P.S. Hope I'm not scaring you in any way. I mean no harm for now. That's all I have to say. Every time I got a letter, it was the same cycle of hype, anxiety, and curiosity. I assumed that it was one of his friends who liked me instead of him trying to figure out my mystery love life. To avoid the story being too long, I quickly sum up some of the other letters I got and sent. I wrote one letter asking who they are. At this point, I knew it was him because he did have a weird Spider-Man jump out of excitement when I gave it to him to pass on. The next letters were sappy comparisons of me to a sunflower and him to a dark moon, and eventually an invite to meet him up to find out who he was on Christmas Eve at a local pizza joint to get to know each other at night, with a necklace included in the letter. The idea of this completely scared me. The idea of what could go wrong, raped, harmed, etc. I decided to go with my friends, watching from a distance to ensure I'm okay. It's safe to say I'm a dumbass who took some precautions. I have never been in a more uncomfortable situation in my life. As I already mentioned, I have terrible anxiety and tend to be a people pleaser, so I came to avoid standing him up out of fear of hatred and rumors being spread. He began with the worst conversation starter of all time. What's your favorite color? I gave him a dirty look and told him it was yellow, and he compared me to a sunflower yet again. probably because I wear a yellow hoodie in PE. I avoided his random terrible conversation starters and started talking about the letters. Every question was separated by a minute of silence. "How long have you liked me?" He replies with, "Since the beginning of the school year." I later asked if his friends knew he liked me, and he said, "No, they think I'm a sociopath. They never expect me to have feelings for you or care for anyone in general." That should have been a warning sign. I was too blinded by anyone liking me that I put all this behind me. One of the terrible conversation starters he had was, "If you had a superpower, what would it be?" I avoided to ask questions about the letter, and he interrupted me to say that he'd want to be able to lift pieces of the earth and smash everyone to death. Except for you, of course. It was now dark outside, and I insisted on leaving, also to avoid any more of this mess. He gave me a gold rose and insisted on walking me home. I refused, but it ended up happening halfway anyways. I feared him and avoided talking to him, but he kept buying me gifts. I told him to stop and that I'm not interested, but he insisted to continue. Later, he told me that he tried talking to me 3 times before writing the letters, and also tried drawing me in his free time, but could not because he does not remember enough details. The attempts he made prior, people would often make fun of him for his store, and he confused one of the people who tapped his shoulder to make a comment to be me. That led him to turn around asking if it was me with a face full of gleam and excitement. Being as socially anxious as I am, I hesitated to respond, and someone answered for me. A month or 2 later, his team played against mine in volleyball. He noticed this and started waving at me. I have never had a conversation with him, so I assumed he was waving at someone behind me. This went on for longer than natural, a few minutes for a wave, so I eventually did a quick awkward wave after trying to avoid making eye contact. The last interaction I remember us having before the big events happened were his class coming into my study hall period to take a test. He sat in front of me, and I visibly saw his nervous thought process of trying to come up with what to say. Asked if my backpack was a cat. I did not want to explain it was Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro, so I told him it was a bear. He suggested that I sleep over at his house for New Year's Eve. I rejected. Thank God, who knows what would have happened if I went. The Snapchat conversations were the same. I never texted him first. He would text me yellow, ask how my day was, then talk about how he asked his sister for relationship advice. We went to the park once together, and I swung on the swing in silence. I did not want to talk to him, but my friend insisted it would be a good idea to give it a shot since he put so much effort in. I ended up making an excuse to leave, and he started trying to make another terrible conversation starter. "So, you draw too, huh?" "Yeah, what the fuck? How'd you find out? I never told you anything about me, yet you know stuff." "Hey, sorry, I have to go. I just remembered my mom was having guests coming over to the house." Eventually, I pieced together how weird he was and the stalker things he did. He watched me walk home until he could not see me anymore from a bench, somehow knew my class schedule, taped a letter to my cubby in my art class, and left flowers in my seat in another class. He was obsessed with me. He made the art teacher watch to see if I opened the letter, and even asked the office to deliver the letters, but they refused. Thank God. He even found my Snapchat somehow, despite only having class friends on it. He always directly went behind me in stretches, probably to watch me squat. Every time we did not talk for a while out of trying to get my hint without being rude, he would just buy me another gift. A friend of mine knows how shy I am and offered to end it and tell him to stop for me. When she told him, he got a big smile, making me fear him even more. Edit. He even called me m'lady once.